And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. All right, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fighting Fit Show. Today we are joined by Paul Martin. Paul has been a member of Fighting Fit for over 6 months now. He is a member of our boxing program run by Chris, and he has been super successful over the last couple of months, losing over 20 kilograms during his time with us. So first off, over to you, Paul. Thanks a million for coming on to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Not so bad, Stephen. Not so bad at all.
Good to hear. And come here. So what was it that, what was the kind of got you interested in even joining Fighting Fit or starting a health and fitness program?
Well, last September, October, I found myself very overweight, really feeling it, really feeling my age, starting to get a wee bit worried about last chances. Do you know what I mean? I'd coming on 50, I was thinking if I don't sort myself out now, I'm going to be in big trouble. And I voiced my opinion to a few people, some of my family and that. And Philip, my brother, who has been a member of Fighting Fit for a bit longer, for longer, he said, I'm just about to join. There's a boxing program starting. He said, would you be interested? And I was going, I don't know, what's it about and all this, you know. And the big question, how much is it and all this, right, you know. And so he says, no, come on, join up. So I only walk around the corner from me. So I spun around one evening. And it was actually, Aisling was the first face I seen. And she says, look, ring this number and we'll get you a consultation and all the rest. And it started from there. And I haven't looked back.
Happy days, good to hear. And then, so like, was there, because I know you're worried about your health. There was no particular, like, major concerns. You're trying to be proactive and kind of get out in front of it as we get older. Obviously, more likely something's going to get you as you get older. So you're just trying to be proactive and kind of maintain that, was it?
Yeah, well, it was. I do have a medical condition. I have ulcerative colitis, and although it's manageable, it never really was a problem. And I can't blame it for the weight I was carrying around either. It was just a case of I put on too much weight. I was stiffening up. I was getting very hard to function daily. You know, like even this is how overweight I was. Is that, you know, tying my shoes was a problem. I was very stiff, a lot of muscle pain, joint pain especially. My knees were really bad, you know, and so that's what it was really. I could see myself, you know, getting really old before my time, and as I said, I was sort of saying, if I don't do this now, I'm just going to get older and it's going to get harder. So I need to sort myself out, you know. Yeah.
Good stuff. And then, like, and what was it then about the Fighting Fit program in particular? Obviously, kind of, was it the boxing that kind of attracted you? Were you kind of interested in that versus maybe going doing a typical kind of weight-based program or in a gym or something like that? What was it about Fighting Fit? Obviously, you had the recommendation from your brother Philip, which obviously helps when you get a recommendation or a referral. But was there anything about the program or the setup that you kind of thought this might be for me rather than something else?
Well, initially it was the referral, but also I'd seen the results that Philip had seen in the first time he'd been with the club, yeah. And I remember remarking he was like a butcher's dog, you know what I mean? There wasn't a pick on him, you know. He was really, really fit and hard, you know. And I remember at the time saying to him, "What are you doing? That's brilliant." He says, "Oh, it's just Fighting Fit. It's great. It's this, it's that." So that was the impetus to get started. But then when I started the boxing, you know, like week 3, and I was mad about boxing. I was watching boxing. I was talking boxing. I was thinking boxing. You know what I mean? I just became obsessed with boxing, you know, because it is like that. You know?
Yeah, you know, cool. So yeah, so obviously you're doing the boxing program with Chris. Yeah, because Chris is your coach in the back end as well. Because if anyone doesn't know, like the way our programs work, what we do is like, so obviously you do like the fitness element on the front end, but then on the back end you still get help and support from the coaches from the team with your nutrition, and you can do rate weigh-ins and they'll kind of check in and that kind of stuff. So Chris does that. So kind of how has your relationship with Chris developed over the last little while? Because obviously I've kind of had a chat with him before we kind of jumped on the podcast here, but you know, and he's obviously nothing but good things to say about you. You know, dedicated, consistent, hard worker, engaged. You know what I mean? Kind of enthusiastic. So how has that relationship been? Like, do you find, because that's something obviously we try and promote, is like it's not just about the program. Like people want to show up because like maybe like even you're not going to want to let Chris down, or you told Chris should be there. Like when you kind of build a good relationship with a coach, this is the kind of thing that happens. Whereas it's easy just not to go to the gym, but if you've told somebody you want to be there, it's a lot harder to not show up even on the days that you feel like, sure, I couldn't really be arsed, or I'm tired after work, or whatever it is.
Well, that's exactly right. Chris is brilliant. You know, like all you guys are. You know, you can really tell just from talking to you at any stage. You know that you really do. You know, this is what you do. This is what you care about. This is what you really want to see people progress and stuff. And Chris is brilliant. He just pushes you all the time without being, you know, too hard about it. Like, you know, you can tell he has your best interests, you know, in mind all the time. But it is a case of that. I don't know, but I suppose that's down to the individual as well. They're not letting the coach down. He's putting the effort in. You can see he's trying. He's trying to put it in front of you. He's give you all the tools, all the advantages he can, and it's up to you then. So I would be like that. I don't want to let him down. I don't want to let myself down. I don't, you know, it's been put in front of me. It's up to me to do it. And you know, you have the usual, you know, anecdotes like you get out what you put in and all this kind of crack. So, and that is true. You know, it's all about being consistent. You know, so as I say, whatever Chris is trying to do, I'm trying to be, you know, make sure I do it. You know what I mean? To where he wants me to be. You know. Yeah,
of course, because there's no saying like you can kind of go through the motions, or you can actually like do the thing. Like there's like the old saying, another kind of anecdote is like, you know, practice makes perfect, but it's not practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect. So it's like if you drill things and you do things wrong in your training, you know, if you ever do find yourself having to throw a wee 1-2, like, you know, it's not going to be as good as it could have been. Like, so you have to kind of make sure you're doing things right, especially the more technical end of things. And that's kind of what the boxing program really is all about, because Chris is a stickler for technique and kind of doing things right. He kind of really does have a big passion for that element of boxing, whereas I kind of feel like me and maybe Brandon as well, like we're kind of just more like just kind of fight with our hearts in our sleeves and just kind of get stuck in, whereas Chris kind of is definitely more technical. But how did you find the program in general, in terms of like, how do you feel like you developed kind of maybe skill wise throughout the program, or kind of is there anything you surprised yourself with, anything you found harder than you thought it would be, that kind of stuff?
Well, yeah, I think, you know, I've stumbled into something that really suits me. Do you know what I mean? I really enjoyed it, all the training, all the drills, and the results especially. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, little things like he'd be showing you some drills, or maybe hitting the bag or whatever, and I'd say, you know, oh, Chris, seem to be all right hitting with me left, but with me right, I don't seem to be getting an awful lot of power in. And I think that was one of the things that stuck with me, was he was talking about activating muscles that you're not using. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, just in general, you know, like I've been fairly successful with losing weight and toning up. And I think that's down to activating muscles that I hadn't been using before. But I think the boxing training fits. You know, Chris said something one time, you know, that the human body's built for boxing. It's just a natural shape. Everything works properly. So, like, I remember, like, I've been in this situation down through the years, loads of times where I'm trying to lose weight, and I've been successful, but it's been hard work, and it's been, I don't want to go in and all this kind of crack, you know. But for some reason, the boxing, and I think it's something to do with the type of training we're doing all the time, is developing different muscles and activating these muscles. So doing sit-ups seems to be easier now, because I think I was using the wrong muscles before. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing. You know, I know that might sound silly, but it just came so quickly that I can't put it down to anything else. I think it's the type of training you do that's boxing related. You know what I mean? I think it just fitted me, just suited. You know, and I love it. And then Chris, you know, showing you the different drills and stuff like that. You know, there's been, over the time I've been here, there's been a bit of an influx of new people all the time, and we'd have to go back and start again at the beginning, the stance and all that. But that's great, because you're just doing it again, and like that's why I'm there. It's not just that I know how to do this now. I can't. It's more exercise, it's more drilling, it's everything. You start right at the beginning again. You're still doing it. You know what I mean? It's still what it is you're trying to achieve. You know. Yeah,
because you can never drill the basics enough. I remember there was a coach we had one time. think it was like a Leinster camp or something like that, a training camp, and they're saying like, you know, like somebody who can just has the basics like perfect can win an Olympic gold medal. Like, you know, just the basic stuff, throw nice 1-2, good footwork, but if they can do everything really, really well, you know, that will bring a lot of the way. Whereas people trying to maybe advance on too fast, or maybe get bored, or you know, neglect the basics to a large extent, and that's kind of when you'll kind of get in trouble when you throw right hand and you drop your left hand just an inch, and that's kind of when you get caught, kind of thing. So yeah, so then obviously,
sorry, that's the good thing about having Chris on you know, standing beside you when you're doing all these drills, because you can, you know, you can be you know, doing your normal drill, but next thing you'll cop on without realizing that you're maybe dropping a hand all the time, and he'll be straight over, hand up, you know what I mean? And you realize that, oh yeah, I'm doing that, yeah. Whereas if you were trying to do it on your own, because you know, I have bags here and all this kind of, because whenever I start something, I buy everything, right? So, it's all about the one-to-one coaching, and I have to say, on the course, it's the sparring I love. It's, you know, when you get up against somebody, because you move differently, you know what I mean? It's great.
Yeah, no, that is cool. Yeah, and I do love that. And it's like, so like what we do is like, so we do like, yeah, like light contact schoolboy spar and that kind of stuff, and kind of obviously kind of quite technical. We're not trying to knock each other around or anything like that, but you really have to be very, very. It's a different ball game when you're responding to somebody else, because you can set the pace or they can set the pace. It's not like even hitting the bag is great. You know, it's good fun, but you know, when the bag hits back, it's a completely different kind of workout. And even simple things like we do, even in the group program, like things like shoulders, knees, and that kind of stuff. Like, you know, really, like it's one of the fastest ways to get everybody's heart rate up in the red zone, because once you add, for me anyway, I love competitiveness. Like that's kind of what I really enjoy. Like I love playing football, I love boxing, I love doing stuff that's like just a little bit more competitive. Like I like to win. I like playing the sport, but it's even better if you win, in my opinion. But so it just adds that extra little bit of intensity to it. You know, like you're just trying to go that extra little bit fast, or trying to beat them to the punch, trying to move that a little bit more. So that is pretty cool. And obviously it was cool because you had Philip in the boxing program, and I'm sure you two were kind of paired off a lot for these kind of drills and the light sparring, that kind of stuff. So what was that like?
Yeah, well, funny enough, you know, you three guys being brothers too, you know, there was a lot of comparisons made when we were starting off, because, you know, maybe we would get a bit hard, maybe there'd be not loose thump thrown in, we got one after the bell, you know, not intentionally though, you know what I mean? You know, Philip was here, would probably say it was me, you know, that was doing it all the time, you know, but I'm his older brother, so I can't lose, you know.
Yeah, of course. You know, because it just adds that extra 10% intensity. And me and the boys do it all the time. We'd always start, all right, we'll have a little light spar today. Like, let's go 50% power. That's it. And then it'd be 55%, then 60%, 65%, 70%, and then you hit me, I hit you, and then sure, just gonna escalate. But it's all in good fun. Once you can take a punch, you're doing okay. The only trouble is then with this kind of stuff is when people are kind of doing this kind of stuff. It's like when somebody's really good and then somebody's maybe not so good, but the better person isn't good enough yet that they can really kind of control their power just yet. They haven't really got full control. That's just kind of one of the only things from our perspective that you have to be mindful of. So boxing program, love the boxing program, the technical stuff, having that little bit of coaching, getting that kind of one-on-one feedback on your technique. Obviously, having Philip there was a massive help. But then you've done a huge amount of work, obviously, outside of the gym too, because obviously you've lost 20 kilograms, like I think maybe even 22 kilograms, which is like nearly, what is that, 3.5, 4 stone in pounds probably. So obviously, like what is the diet been like? What is the lifestyle change been like? What kind of things are we doing outside the gym to kind of be successful too?
Yeah, well, I'm not doing a whole lot of extracurricular, you know, outside of the boxing, except walking, because as I said, when I started off, my knees were very bad. And I'll talk about that later on as well, because Chris was brilliant when it came to that too. So the running, I had lost a lot of weight maybe 2 years ago. I'd done one of these Coes to 5K courses, and I remember at the time thinking it was life-changing as well. Yeah. But the impact of running all the time, it was unsustainable for me, because I kept picking up injuries, calves, knees, everything, you know. So it was just unsustainable. I couldn't really keep that up all the time. Yeah. But so I knew when I wasn't boxing, I needed to be doing something. And that was a kind of a conscious decision as well. Activity. So I was walking a lot, and you know, hard walking, maybe setting between 8 and 10K every time I went out for a walk, you know, just all around the town, as hard as I could. all weathers. And then it was just a case of, you know, and then the boxing, showing up every night. And then the diet, of course, you know.
Yeah,
because,
nutrition.
I was, you know, like when I started, I think it was the heaviest I've ever been in my whole life. I think I was 16.5 stone, which I'd never been the color of before. But that was down to really bad diet as well. You know, I was snacking late at night all the time, and you know, really badly. So I just stopped everything. And then when I was talking to you, you were explaining to me about the calorie deficit as well. If you're losing weight, if you want to lose weight, you have to be less calories than you need to function. You know, so I actually just. I'm no good at counting. If I'm going to be honest with you, I'm no good at counting calories. You see this trying to figure out what's in each meal. I just made it simple. I was having this for my breakfast, this for my lunch, and this was whatever the evening meal here was, because we're fairly lucky here. We don't eat an awful lot of processed food. It's all real meats and vegetables and all the rest. That's just our normal diet. My problem was the rubbish I was eating extra to that. Do you know what I mean? So I just cut all that out. Another thing I cut out was soft drinks. They were gone totally. That kind of thing, you know. I just made it very simple. My breakfast was porridge and maybe an Activia yogurt. Lunch was maybe a vegetable soup, homemade, and that was it. Or maybe a wrap with some, you know, meat in it or something like that. And then whatever the lunch was. And I just was very plain. You know what I mean? Without being, I wasn't, you know, boiling chicken fillets or anything like that. You know, it was kind of normal enough food, but smaller portions. And no snacking, and got rid of the sugars, you know what I mean, all that stuff.
Okay, you know, usually we find like a simple approach really is what works best. Like, isn't it? Like, because some people, like, they feel like they're going to start a program, they're going to start a new workout program, start walking every evening, going to bed earlier, drinking water. You know, the list of to-dos just gets longer and longer and longer. Whereas what we need to do most of the time is it's more important, I would say, to have a not to do list and to say, right, what's holding me back? Maybe it's the sugary drinks and it's the snack, and they're kind of the two things. Outside of that, the breakfast, lunch, dinner is usually not too bad. So boom, they're kind of fine. I'll be more mindful of my portion size, which is what you've done, which is fantastic. And then just keep it simple, because you don't want to try and, you know, create this big convoluted routine and completely overhaul your life overnight. Whereas one or two nice simple changes, starting the workout program, cutting back in the snacks, cutting back in the sugars, and getting out for them walks consistently. And that's over. And again, time being the most important factor, because you've been, how long you remember? Is it 9 months now? I think it is. Is it, or is it longer?
It was
it September?
September, October.
Yeah, I mean, that's the saying. And like to lose that amount of weight in that kind of time, and to be so consistent, like, kind of looking at your graph, and like, it's fairly straightforward the whole way. You're kind of hitting your like, say, your goal weight now, so you're kind of starting to level out a bit. But you know, but it has been unbelievable. And then just to touch on, then you said, like, with the Couch to 5K and this kind of stuff, and I personally, I love running. We've done a lot of running with boxing kind of over the years, and well, maybe like most things, like love-hate relationship. I kind of feel it's nice to get out and put your headphones on and can listen to your favorite music or a podcast, or kind of just have your own little bit of personal space. I think it really is great. But I find, like, running should not be the core piece of anybody's program. You really want more resistance training. You want to be using your muscle more, whether it's boxing, body weights, a little bit of strength and conditioning, that kind of stuff. So what was your experience like with the running with the Couch 5K? As you mentioned, you got a little bit of knee trouble from it.
Yeah, well, I did. I'm not gonna say that gave me the knee trouble. That's wear and tear over the years. Like I used to play a bit of hurling, and but running was never my thing. You know, I was okay on the pitch of running, you know, short sprints and stuff. But if I had to run laps of the pitch, you forget about it. I had no wind, you know. Yeah. So it was a course it was on. Myself and my wife done it with a girl called Mary. I can't think of her second name. She was up from the DKIT, I think it was. But he showed us how to run, you know, how to pace yourself, how to build up to 5K and all this kind of, you know, and it was great. But as I said, I did lose weight, and I lost a good bit of weight, but I was in bad shape still. I didn't tone up. I was, you know, I wasn't very strong with it and stuff like that. I was losing weight okay, and I was able to run for long distances and stuff, but I didn't feel I had any kind of real strength or stamina, you know. And when I was training for hurling, that would have been always a thing. I would have always had a lot in the tank. Do you know what I mean? I can push on and push on. But I think that's why I was okay at the running then as well, because I could build up to that very quick. But as you say, I wasn't getting conditioned. I was just losing weight a wee bit. You know what I mean? So, but the running was fine, and I loved it when I was doing it. Except I started picking up the injuries then, and it'll put you out for a while, and it's a big step back then. You know,
because I just say like
each time, you know.
Yeah, because that's kind of really what it is. Like, it's all really a game of momentum, isn't it? When you hit a setback and it puts you on the couch for a couple of days, it is hard to get going again. Like, I always kind of say this example, like, you know, it's kind of like the guy pushing the big boulder up the hill or down the hill or whatever. It's like getting it started is the hardest part. Like, for anyone at home that kind of is thinking about starting a new journey, it's like, you know, like getting going really is the hardest part. It requires the most energy. But once you kind of get the ball rolling, it takes a lot less energy to kind of keep it moving. It's only when we come to a dead stop, and this is kind of when people say they've fallen off the wagon, is kind of when it takes a significant amount of energy to kind of keep it moving. So that would be my advice for anybody. Listen, it's like, if you're starting something, again, show up and do something. Like, once a week or twice a week is better than 0 times a week. And just because you can't do it perfectly doesn't mean you shouldn't do it at all. So there's that. But then, as you mentioned with the thing, like, and that's kind of my only criticism, because as I said, I do love running. I run against runners around like that. It's just more so for it to be like the core piece of somebody's running program. What can happen is people do lose a lot of weight, but they also lose muscle. And this kind of how people end up kind of skinny fat. Like, if the only approach to weight loss is per se like being like a cardio bunny, like, you know, just cardio. Like, you know, it's like you really want to do something that, like, you know, you should have a little bit of resistance training, a little bit of strength training, something that challenges your muscles as an important part of your workout program as well. And I know, because Chris done like, you used to do like a strength and condition night. I know you miss it a lot because you do the work the doors on the Friday nights. And I think that's even more incredible with your journey. Like, you've done like everything you've achieved. Like, you've done it with like 3 nights a week consistently over six, because you'd hit the 20 kilo mark 6-7 months in, something like that, was it?
Yeah, it was fairly quick. You know, like, I think I lost the first stone within the first month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it started to come off really quick, but then again, that's what I say. I was starting from ground zero. You know what I mean? It was there to come off. You know, but I've never had it as easy. And as I say, you know, we all do different things over the years, different, you know, attempts at losing weight and all that. And I have lost. I've been successful a few times, but never this. I'm not going to say easy, but sort of enjoyable and successful, you know, like, so it is quick. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I can even feel, as I said, you said you come up with a phrase there, skinny fat, from the running. Yeah, that's always been the way down through the years. You'd lose weight and you'd just be kind of not really very fit, but smaller, thinner, you know. Yeah. But in this case, as I said, you know, as I said, I pick up words every now and again, like activating muscles and stuff. I do feel muscles where I didn't have muscles before. I'm not saying they're bulging muscles or anything, but you can feel they're activated. You know, there's shape coming and different stuff. And I think that makes it easier then to do the other exercise, you know. Like, as I said, as you said, the conditioning nights, I'm starting to hit them Friday nights now. Like, I'll be in tonight.
Oh, you're really close.
I hope I am in tonight now. Not now.
And that's kind of what you said there with the boxing. That's kind of what I think is one of the most enjoyable parts about boxing, or it's really kind of like martial arts in general. Like, one of the reasons that people enjoy it is because it's skill development over, like, if you see the improvements over time. Like, because you're going in, you're running on a treadmill or whatever, like, you know, like, it's, some people like it, some people don't. But with this kind of stuff, when you're trying to master a skill, that kind of process of mastery, getting better and better and better against something, and be able to kind of measure your success, and having that object, like, say, like having a coach be able to pick up on things like you're getting better at this and this and this, and seeing yourself and feeling yourself getting better as you're kind of going through the program. I kind of feel like that's one of the big things that kind of attracted me to boxing anyway, because obviously you've got these challenges along the way, and, you know, you're kind of overcoming them, and you can see the development, like things that you used to have to think about, you can do them in an instant, bam, 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 and it's done. Or like somebody throws a shot and you don't have to think about it anymore. You're slipping, you're sliding, you're rolling, you're ducking. So what would you say about that, like, in terms of like the skill mastery? Like, would you say, how much better would you say at kind of, say, throwing an L1-2 now versus maybe at the start, are you now?
Well, absolutely, completely better, because, you know, whatever I had before, it was no, you know, like, I'm not saying I couldn't throw a thump, but, you know, there was no skill involved in it. It wasn't a coach thing, you know what I mean? There was no art to it. It was probably very messy looking, and in fact, I know it was very messy, knowing what I know now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but it also, it's great for your confidence and stuff like that, and how you approach it. You know, you mentioned there, I do the doors and stuff, and like, as a doorman, you don't hit any. You're not there to hit people. You're not going to be hitting anybody. So I'm not going to be throwing any thumps. That's the last thing you want to be doing. But it's good to be able to know that if somebody throws a thump at me, I'm going to be able to block it, and just to to get inside. Do you know what I mean? Without anybody getting hurt. Do you know what I mean? And it's great to just, even if it never happens, just confident and calm and it's good like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that actually is something really important to kind of drive home with the confidence that any sort of martial arts gives people. And this is kind of something that people kind of intuitively know, but it's like, it really does give you, like, when you know you can defend yourself, it really doesn't really matter to the situation that you have that kind of confidence in you. Because that's, remember, what is self-confidence? It's confidence in yourself. You know, so it's like, I've got confidence in myself that even if this gets a little bit out of hand, that I at least know enough that I can get out of this safely. You know, and that's obviously in a physical confrontation, but obviously it's that kind of projects throughout all areas of your life, or kind of, you know, like, you really will notice it. Like when somebody kind of comes through, and the weight loss as well, like when you feel confident in your own body and you know that you can physically perform, because you said like performance was a thing, like not being able to do the day-to-day task. When you can move your body well and you're confident about how you look in your clothes, I feel like you really do operate on a different level when it comes to kind of self-confidence. Like
that's 100%
like
right. That's 100% right, Chris, because that is another thing. Like I can see people react to me differently since I lost weight, and it's a strange thing because, you know, as I say, you lose weight all the time, but now my weight loss has been fairly dramatic. First thing I always see is people go, "God, what are you doing? You know, this is great," and all this kind of, like, you know, which is fine. But even when I'm in my bouncer clothes, people do sort of, you know, they're looking at you, a wee bit more like that, because you're in better shape and all the rest. Whereas where the way I was for a little while now, I was kind of standing, leaning up against the door, holding. You know, you're not getting in here because you can't get past me. That's about it. You know, so I find people are reacting to me differently when I'm, you know, leaner and a bit more fit looking. It's a funny thing. But
and I think that is important, because I think it's one of these things, like, a lot of people don't want to admit it, but like when you're physically in shape, like, people do just have more respect for you, I think, because there's like a lot of this kind of subconscious messaging kind of goes back and forth, because you know when somebody's in shape, and like there's a difference between being skinny and looking like you train. It's like people know that takes dedication and effort and hard work. So like, to know that you're not that to say that all kind of people overweight are necessarily lazy in a sense, but it's like, but to know that you're definitely not, because the proof is in your body. You know, they can see that you exercise regularly. I think that kind of really does play a big part in kind of how people treat you, say, when you lose the weight.
No, that's definitely true. Definitely true. Even among my friends, you know what I mean? You can tell just a little difference in them. I'm not going to say a respect, but a kind of an appreciation for what you've done. You know what I mean? That you're not, as you say, that you put the work in and you've been successful at it. You know what I mean? No, I'm not saying, like, I could lose more weight. I could do a bit more bulk, maybe. I could do anything like, you know, you're never finished. You know, but as you said, you know, my projectile of the weight I've lost was coming down at this, and now it's kind of leveled out. But I'm going to say that was probably intentional, because I actually went down to 82 and I didn't really like it. I thought I was getting a bit too light and I was getting old looking. So I thought, I think I have enough weight off now. I think we'll try and start, you know, not bulking up, but, you know, toning. That's the kind of thing, you know. It's good to have kind of an idea of what shape you want to be, you know.
Of course. And so that's kind of the next question then, because obviously, as you said, like myself, like most people in general, like, we're kind of going through this kind of process throughout our lives. We're kind of losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight. Like, what do you feel like is going to be different this time? Like, do you feel like this is the time now that you're going to kind of keep the weight off because you've done it in a way that you've actually enjoyed for once, and you can kind of maybe hopefully continue this routine over the long term? Or what do you feel? Is it going to be different this time? Is this the kind of the last time, would you say?
Well, hopefully, yeah. You never see, you know, you never know what's ahead. But I have to say, I'd be very confident, because for no other reason as I enjoy it, and I've no plans on stopping doing it. You know, like, sometimes when you lose weight, you say, well, there's the weight lost. I don't have to do this anymore, or I don't have to do this as much anymore. But I don't want to not go 3 nights a week at least. Do you know, I want to be there for each boxing class. And I keep thinking you're going to tell me you're not wanted here anymore because you've too much done. You know, you're finished. Good luck. but I'm going to keep coming until someone throws me out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way it is with me. I don't want to stop coming. You know?
Yeah, no,
I
listen,
enjoy going. This is like my
100%.
downtime now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, and it is that. It's like, because it's like, listen, exercise can be so many things for so many people, and like that, because like once we kind of get into the routine of like, we got work, we got family, we got so much to do, to be able to, like, it's so hard for people, because obviously one of the biggest objections we come up against with people all the time, trying to keep them active and keep them in the gym and keep them trained, is obviously time. So like, carving that time out for yourself is so important, to kind of just make sure that at least for a couple hours a week. Because if you don't have a couple hours for yourself, like, you don't have a life really, do you? Like, you know what I mean? So like, you want to be able to kind of carve that out over the long term, not just seasonally. It's like, oh, I can do it for this couple of months, but not this couple of months. Like, more people, I feel like, need to kind of put themselves first and just make it a non-negotiable, but do it regardless of the weight loss. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't really matter. Like, if you're gaining weight or losing weight, you should still keep up your training to do something. But it's more important, as I said, like, to find the thing that you like, because a lot of people are doing things that they don't like because they feel like it's the fastest way to lose the weight. When, like, realistically, if you just took a step back and looked, right, over 12 months, what am I actually going to like to do? It's like, if you love playing football, try and find a group of lads that also love playing football. If you love the box, find people that also love the box. Like jiu-jitsu, go to jiu-jitsu. If you love the gym, fair enough, go to the gym, or whatever your approach is. But it just really is for sustainability over the long term, finding an approach that you like. And more so, as you said, with the nutrition, like, it's not a massive overhaul. You know, like, just cut out the snack, cut out the sugar. So I'm sure you still have the odd wee snack here and there, probably a couple of beers every other weekend, or maybe the odd wee Chinese or whatever like that. But because you've done it in a way that you've liked, I kind of feel like I would be confident that you'll kind of keep the weight off then, kind of over the long term.
Yeah, I think as well, you know, when you talk about, you know, having the odd Chinese and stuff like that, you know, they're kind of leveled out. I don't know if it's right or not. As I say, that I'm only just learning this as I'm going myself as well. You know what I mean? But I think that I'm in a situation now where if I did put on a couple of pounds, I can take it back off again. Do you know what I mean? I'm in a sort of a place where I have more control over what my weight's doing. Do you know what I mean? I just fix the diet, up the training, something like that. And as you say, weighing in every day, every week, it doesn't get away from you. You know what I mean? You can see, well, I'm starting to go up a wee bit. It's time to cut that out or do some more of this, you know. So it's easier to keep more control over it. On the whole time thing as well, that would have been a thing down through the years with me. Oh, I don't have time for this. I have to go to work. I have to do this work. I have to do the bouncing. I have to do this. I know we're running around with kids, all the rest. But it was funny. I watched these motivational videos that he's on YouTube all the time. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, where he's talking about breaking your time up of your day and how he did, and, you know, doing his training and doing his work and all this kind of back, and how many hours there actually is in a day, and how many you're really using, how many you have to sleep, how many you have to eat, and the amount of hours that are just being wasted. And I started thinking about that. And when I started doing the training here, as I said, I made a conscious decision to be more active. But there was nights I was coming home here after work, and we'll say I had another job in the background here, maybe painting the kitchen or something we were doing at the start of all this as well. Like, I'd be coming in here at 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night, after maybe doing 2 jobs, and I'm sitting there. And because I've been training and stuff, I'm kind of, you know, not tired. And I go, what the hell? Put there till 2 o'clock in the morning painting. I can do it now. You know why? I don't have to wait. It doesn't have to be 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. I can do it at any time. They're all the same hours in your day. I mean,
And I think that's kind of what you're touching on there, is like what you said, like, well, if I want to have a Chinese, I know how to lose the weight. It's like we just live more deliberately, or we just have more purpose. So we're just much more conscious, we're much more aware of our actions and behaviors, because we're getting the feedback by doing something which is very simple, which is weighing yourself regularly. Because this is what happens. Like, every time I talk to somebody, and more so over the last couple of years, and again, I think we all begin. I think pretty much, you know, it'd be only the one in 4 people, I would say, didn't maybe gain weight over the course of lockdown. So fair enough. But people who like just didn't check their weight. I didn't check my weight for a year or 18 months, and it's like, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to get worse. So like, just by being more conscious, by checking in, it's only a number. It doesn't really matter. But it's like, where am I going? Because if you had seen it at, say, when you gained 10 pounds, maybe you wouldn't have got to 50. Whereas if you just kind of buried your head in the sand and kind of, I don't really feel too confident in these clothes, and I kind of got a little bit more out of hand. So that, I feel like, is a really important habit, kind of just checking your weight regularly, but also how, given context, obviously weight's not the only important thing. How do I feel in my clothes? All that kind of stuff matters too, because if you're gaining muscle and this kind of stuff as well. But with nutrition and stuff, we all know what we need to do. We just don't always do the things we know we should. I think that's probably the most important thing. And our job is really just remind people, it's like, this is what you want. This is how we get there. It's like just nudging people back onto the right path. Because I feel like we all veer off path every once in a while, and we can just become, I would say, like just a little bit unconscious. As you said, like you just automatically, I'm coming home after a long day's work. The automatic thing is sit down on the couch, get a bag of crisps on the telly, or a couple of biscuits, whatever it might be. And everything like, why? Like, what am I actually getting from that? Like, I've seen this show before. I don't want to start another series. It's like the kitchen needs done. Nothing's going to make you feel better than actually doing the work and actually starting to knock through that to-do list that's taking up a huge portion of your mind every day. But we tell ourselves these stories that like life has to be a certain way. We can't get up before 7 o'clock. We can't work after 8 or 9 o'clock. It's like you can actually do whatever you want, because I think what Arnold said in that speech was like, you know, if you're sleep fast or something. I think he says like, see, you know, because like I remember, because that is something that we would do a lot. Like we have these sheets where like it depends on the person. Sometimes you get like people that can be a little bit frosty to it when you really challenge them, because people have these like deeply held beliefs and they're not really at a place where they're willing to really look at themselves and maybe I would say take responsibility, because at the end of the day, like if it's somebody else's responsibility, it's you've much less power if somebody else actually is in control. But it's like 99% of the time you actually have the control. You're just pretending other people have control, but it's like at the end of the day the buck really stops to choose. So like we had these 24-hour calendars, breaks the day down into 30-minute blocks. I'm like, well, you don't have time. Show us your week, and not just your day. Show us your week. And they're kind of sitting down after 5 minutes, like, you know, trying to, you know, like really like divide every single job into the longest possible. And it's like, really, like we actually have a decent amount of time, even with the kids, even with the jobs, even like if you really like pull out your phone right now, go into your settings, the digital health and well-being, and like how much time you spend on your phone every day, how many seasons of, you know, Ozark or Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones or whatever the series is, like we've all done it. How many movies have you seen? Like, we're talking like hundreds and hundreds of hours. And that's not to say that you shouldn't do these things if you have the time for them. It's like, but what if it's costing you your happiness, and if it's costing you your self-confidence, and if it's costing you, more important, I think, your self-respect? Because I know when I kind of get out of shape, or if I'm not maybe doing things I know, it's like that's kind of the most important thing to me, because I let myself down. And it's like, and I know that, and it's like trying to go through life, and I can know that I probably could have done better, but I didn't, and you know, X, Y, Z. It's like, because we beat ourselves up, but we can't lie to ourselves. We can lie to everybody else and tell everybody else we haven't got time. But you know, you spent every time you go to the bathroom, you spend 30 minutes on your phone. Every time, you know, like every night you're watching 2-3 series. Every morning you hit snooze 4 or 5 times, and that's enough. That's enough time for a workout. Like, you know, if you get up and done a quick 20-minute whatever in the house. So yeah, kind of that's what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, that is the whole thing, and that was one of the things that changed when I started training this time, was that, you know, I might wait, you know, sometimes you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It used to be, oh no, I'm not going to be able to get back to sleep now, you know. But don't get up and go for a walk. Yeah. That's what I was doing. You know, don't go back to sleep. You're awake. You know, and do something with the time you're awake. You know, obviously you're not tired if you're awake. You know, or you'd still be asleep. You know, so just keeping active. That was one of the big changes I made, and it definitely, well, you know, I'm going to attribute some of it to it. What's happened?
Yeah, 100%. And was that part of your strategy? Like, where are you getting up earlier, kind of purposely? Or was it just like if you just happened to kind of wake up, you'd kind of make the most of the time rather than kind of forcing yourself back to sleep?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not going to say I was getting up earlier intentionally, but I was waking up earlier. You know, but that was probably down to not needing as much sleep, because I was, you know, getting
in better shape, more energy.
Better. I know, more energy and it's mental attitude as well. It definitely is. You know, you have to want to do it. You know, because as I said, you know, I was coming home, and as you say, you come home and you sit and you think because it's dark you have to sit and watch TV. You don't. You know, you can just, you know, because in the summertime at 9 o'clock it's still bright. In the wintertime it's pitch dark. It's not, the day's not over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. 100%
just fill your day.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like time is going to go by so quick. Like we just had our first wee baby there, not January gone, but the January before, 21, and like it's like I find like once you get into a routine, like life just seems to speed up. And obviously kids are really good at getting into routine, because there's bedtimes and nap times and dinner times that definitely get more schedule based. And time just seems, that's why I really like to kind of get away and break up my schedule and kind of travel and do different things, because otherwise it just feels like life gets away from me. So I do think that is so important. But just to finish then, last question to you, Paul, would be like if somebody else was in your position, kind of where you were when you started, like, so maybe you get a few pounds overweight, not that happy with kind of how things are going, feeling like the performance, you weren't kind of living your best life really, because I feel like you definitely seem a lot more happy, a lot more confident, a lot more outgoing, much more open to challenge and different things. Like, what advice did you have to somebody that was in your position before and they had similar goals, they kind of want to get where you are now? Like, what would be your best advice to them?
Well, obviously find something that you're going to stick at, that you're going to like. You have to like it, or you're not going to do it. That's the whole thing. Everybody who speaks to me now, because as I said, everybody is coming up. Oh yeah, what are you doing? What are you? Like, of course, I'm big enough, fighting fit. You know what I mean? It worked for me. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. I don't know why it wouldn't. But I think if you're going to be general about it, it's find something that you're going to like, and that people are going to give you the right advice in. That's a big one as well, because people can tell you to be doing stuff that maybe isn't the right stuff. I think I found that, talking to yourself and Chris and whoever it was that was talking to me at the time, they're telling you the right things. They're not just telling you the quick things and all the rest. Like I seen a I don't know, it wasn't a podcast. It was something you put up one time about, okay, you want to lose weight, right? We're not going to drink any water. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I was looking at it for a minute going, doesn't sound great to me. But then it turned out, you were messing, you know what I mean? Yeah. But that's what it is. You get the right advice. There's loads of people have advice, but so if I could, there's no point in me saying if I could talk to me the way I was, because I think I did the right thing. Training, fighting fit, and just starting it. But it was a decision where I said, it was nearly like a last chance thing, because I thought, if I don't do this now, if I don't throw myself completely into this and make it important, then I'm not going to be able to do it in 2 or 3 years, because I'm going to be too unfit. I'm going to be too old. The knees are going to be too bad. And I talk about the knees as well. Chris told me about this knees over toes guy, and I started watching the video, and he even does a lot of PT. When I'm doing any PT with him, or he'll be showing me how to do squats and angle myself in the right way to use. And it was a whole notion of, I had been nursing these knees for a long time, not doing stuff, not bending them, go down the stairs and stuff. Whereas I sort of got it into my head, no, actually do bend into the stair, force your knee. And he says it's just like, let your body know that this is what we needed to do. So sort yourself out. You know what I mean? You need to be able to do that. And the difference between knees now, they're not perfect, but the difference, I can actually feel it walking up and down the stairs and everything. They're so much stronger and everything. And it was funny, because I'd been with a physio one time, and I did say to the physio, is there some exercise I can do to build up the muscles around, and that's going to help the knee? No. Which was contrary to what I ended up finding out. You know what I mean? And what actually worked for you. And that guy, kind of knees over toe guys, it is very interesting. And Chris has got a massive passion for that, because he literally has, like, right now as we speak, like 4 or 5 clients who have had hips and knees and different things that, they felt like, these were long lifetime injuries, things they're going to have to just deal with for the rest. But it's like, what we do is, as you said, we nurse things, but it's like after a certain point, after the injury has taken place, there's a certain period of rest and recovery, and that is important, that is required. But after that, then it really is a purpose of increasing range of motion and improving strength in that area, especially things like the knees and the hips. Because what we do is we just lock ourselves into this little tiny box, and all of a sudden we can only move in specific ways, and we can't reach up here, and we can't touch our toes, and we can't twist, and we can't do anything. But it's over time, doing it with a professional, doing it in the right way, and kind of knowing your limits, and kind of slowly but surely kind of progressing. But that's one of the next things I feel like is, like, a lot of people really are out there, and they're nursing these injuries and things that, like, it's time to strengthen and lengthen and make it more mobile, because this is what mobile, like, people talk about mobility, and Chris and Brian are super passionate about mobility. I could definitely take my own advice a bit more on this, because it's not something I'd be kind of person. I would kind of skip the stretches and kind of run on out or whatever, or do an extra round in the bag or in the burpees rather than kind of do my stretches. But, like, mobility really is, like, it's strength in the end ranges. So I always kind of thought, like, stretching and flexibility was a bit early, until I really learned, like, mobility is being strong
in these extended positions with your arms reached up overhead, when you're in that position where you're touching your toes, gaining strength, like being strong in the bottom of your squat. I don't know how much weight are you lifting, but kind of having that strength and that confidence to sit right down deep and to kind of have that mobility, be able to move around and kind of express yourself in all of the different ranges and through all the different planes of movement. I think that is so important. So that is something I would encourage anybody listening, because like the reviews have been absolutely fantastic from the work people have done with Chris and Brandon. It's particularly Crystal, Kazi in there earlier on today working on the exact same stuff. She's the same, thought she could never squat again, thought she could never lunge again, but here she is. She's doing it now every other day now, kind of with us in the facility. So if anybody is struggling with that stuff, I was like, don't count yourself out just yet. Because I think that's what people do. People count themselves out just yet. They have this story about who they are and the way their life is going to be now for the next, say, 5 or 10 years, or that's just it for me. I can't exercise. I can't do this. It's like, I would always encourage people, always get a second opinion. Always get a second opinion. Just kind of thing over that, like, the science is settled. It's like, the science is never settled. The science is only it's waiting for a new opinion or a new hypothesis or somebody who's thinking outside the box to come with a new approach. Because the possibilities are endless, and you just kind of I really just wouldn't give up on yourself just yet for anybody listening.
Yeah, well, just that spurred me on to, you asked me what advice I would have, and that'd be good advice, because I think that's one of the things that I had in my head when I was thinking, I need to do something there. I'm not going to be able to do it. And that's why, because I thought my knees are gone, this is done. I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't do that. Whereas now, I don't think that anymore. I mean, now I think, well, sure, I'll have a go with that and see how it goes. And everything's just working out as we go along. You know what I mean? The things are strengthening and things, I'm moving a lot better. Tell you the truth, I'm probably in better shape than I've been since my early 20s. But that doesn't mean I was in good shape in my early 20s. You know what I mean? I'm just in better shape now than I was then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. No, listen, Paul, honestly, go listen. I know that myself and the guys were super proud of you. People like you or Diamond does, and like people come in, absolute pleasure to work with. Always put in the work, always super consistent, and most important, like always has a good attitude. Like that's the most important thing when you're coaching people. All you really want is someone to have a good attitude. It's like, listen, it's going to be hard. It's not going to happen overnight. You just have to show up and try and do it with a smile, because it makes everybody's life a lot easier rather than trying to drag somebody through a program. Somebody that shows up and actually want to take part. That's it. As I said, an absolute pleasure, and you should be super proud of yourself. The results you've gotten in the last 9 months are well above average. Like, you have really transformed your life, and you should be super proud of that.
Thanks very much, Stephen, and thanks to all the guys in the gym, because everybody chips in. CJ, Ashling, Chris. Everybody, that's pretty much all I be in contact with. Everybody puts in, a comment and a slap on the back and everything, and it's a great place to be showing up to every evening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, really appreciate that. Well, listen, guys, hope you all enjoyed the podcast with Paul. Make sure to drop a like, share it with somebody. Hope maybe it'll inspire them, motivate them to kind of get started on their fitness journey. Thanks for taking your time. Really appreciate it, and we hope to see you in the next one.